logins on that. Go to frames. We're just talking about fun. Cool. So when you get here, you get a little pop-up to be like, hey, just remember I'm going to delete everything when you log off, so you should save this stuff somewhere else. Like, oh, that's a good idea. Yep, so if you go okay to that. And we want to find your file that you made, so if you go into the USB drive or whatever, open it across so we can have a little look.
In here?
The USB opener is this guy.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, if you haven't used Ubuntu before, welcome to Linux. Yeah, cool, just double click on that. Just have a little nosy. Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, it'll probably work. We'll see how we go. So on the desktop there's a little shortcut that says Fab modules. You just minimize that stuff for now, or close it or whatever. Yeah, no, it's in the other corner just to confuse them. Nice. So Fab modules local. Yeah, up one. Nice.
Double click?
Yeah, it's thinking about loading.
Oh.
Yeah, it loaded. Cool. So this is Fab modules. It's a web-based, I guess, like CAM program. It's made in-house within the Fab network and is used to drive a whole bunch of machines, not just the vinyl cutter specifically. So it also drives like the PCB mill, and you could use it to run the shop lot and other weird and wonderful things as well. So if you hit input format there, you'll see it asks us for a number of different files that contain PNGs or SVGs, are probably the two we're looking for our 2D vector files today. So you can open your SVG file. Hopefully you remember where you saved it.
My USB.
Oh yeah, down the side. The one that says 2.1 gig.
And here it is.
Nice. So just open that up. That's going to be interesting. And if you go to output format, so we can see there's a whole bunch, if you click on that, a whole bunch of machines that this can talk to. We're going to pick the Roland vinyl cutter, which says Roland on it, so you can remember. Yeah, nice. Cool. And I think this isn't going to work, but I'll show you how to fix it in a sec. If you go to process, and we're going to lie and tell it that we're cutting vinyl, which is fine. Don't worry about that too much. Cool. And I'm pretty sure when we hit calculate, nothing's going to happen, but just humour me and hit calculate on the right-hand side there.
Where?
Just next to your mouse. Right, yeah, right there. Well, bam. Wait. Yeah, I think it's freaking out. Fun and interesting ways. So as usual, file prep is more than half of the game. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's doing nice things. So what we can do is these computers also have Inkscape on them, which is like Illustrator but free and open source and arguably not better. So we'll just find your file really quick here. If we just file open that guy off the USB. Yeah. Wow. So maybe that's why it was freaking out.
Yeah, it looks a lot different.
Yeah, what's going on there? So perhaps we had like a fill color that wasn't behaving nicely. So what is going on here? This is like a good test of, do I remember how to use?
Oh, there it is.
There we go. Okay. So if we just it's pretty important when you save out SVGs and whatnot that you get your fill and stroke densities and all of those things happy, but it seems like that's okay, except for whatever's going on there. Where did that one come from? Down. Huh. Go back down here. Join your friends. Nice. Cool. And hopefully this is like some kind of reasonable size. It's massive. Okay, how big did you imagine?
Feel free to put it in half.
Oh wait, no, that's pixels. Okay, yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, so that'll fit on our page. Yeah, that fits. We're good. In fact, you could make it bigger if you wanted to. Like, is it supposed to be the full size of this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh gosh, that's the wrong button. Still the wrong button. There we go. Nice. Okay, so we can just save all of that. We'll give it some kind of great name. What was this? Sample week 3?
Yes.
V2. Nice. Number lock, come back. If you get a DPI option for when you're saving your files, either in Illustrator or Inkscape, make it really high, like higher than what you would use for print, which would be 300. So instead we'll make it like 1000, and then it's like super high resolution, lots of pixels, gonna be good. Nice. And so hopefully that will now work. Or maybe it won't. Jokes. Yay, cool. Good. Better. Nice. So someone else can try pressing some buttons to remember what's going on here. So we just loaded in our image, and now we need to pick a really good. And go to process, and hit cut final. And now when you hit calculate, it thinks a little bit, but this time I'm much more confident that we're actually going to get a result. Obviously, the bigger and larger your file is, the longer the stakes too. So, you know, sometimes this is the good opportunity for like making that cup of tea. So this is what it's going to do when it follows around our lovely little line. And this is actually a 3D preview, so you can like pan and zoom around this weird little panel that we've got. The key thing I want to show you in this view, these red lines are like the connections it's going to be drawing, so you can press like C to toggle those on and off, and then the purple or blue lines are the lines it's actually like going to draw with the vinyl cutter. And there's also, you'll notice in the corner, I don't remember the buttons, it says the controls right there, and I somehow managed to forget them. In the corner here, there's this little red/green/blue kind of axes. So that's where it's going to start cutting from. So you want to make sure that when you send this through to cut, that you're like the head for the vinyl cutter is in that same, bottom left-hand corner. Otherwise, if you have it over here, then try and cut over here. Generally not be good. Cool. So we can see it's kind of drawing around the outside of all of our lines here at the moment, right? Like it's kind of drawing everything sort of twice, doing an outline. It might be worthwhile trying to invert the image and just seeing if that works any better, because maybe then it will just do one line. Can be like a fun and quick, easy thing to try. And are we planning to cut this, or are we going to be like drawing on it? What's our
No, just cut it.
Just cut it?
Yeah, for the moment, just cut it.
That'll be interesting.
Crossing fingers.
Yeah. So because our material has a little bit of flex in it, once we start cutting, it'll be really interesting to see whether it just like jams immediately or not. Which is always a fun and exciting. And that's like kind of the thing with the vinyl cutter. I guess there's like zero difference in that. Is that you do want to be aware that like the stakes are real low, right? Like the worst case is that you stall the motors, or maybe like the absolute worst case is like you break the knife inside your material, and neither of those are really the end of the world. So feel free to like have a bit of a play. Cool. So main settings that we're interested in here, our output force settings. So that's how hard the knife is pressing down, or the pen, or whatever you've got in there on our material. There's a bunch of kind of manufacturer's pens hanging out the back here, so you could unscrew this and put your yellow, blue, or whatever felt tip in there. What else is there? Black. There's also a ballpoint pen, and then there's a bunch of these. Whoa, gone forever. Seriously, gone forever. Come back. 3D printed rings that you can use if you have like your own Vivids and Sharpies and highlighters or anything like that. You can get fabric pens. You can use it for applying like inks and markers and stuff as well. So, go to town. Cool. I think we're going to start like super conservatively. And then increase to see how we're doing. Just because I'm real not confident that this is actually going to work. But we'll see. Cool. So if you hit the big old send button there, it's going to send this job to the vinyl cutter.
Where? Here?
Just here next to
send.
Send. Not save. And And so all of the things that Jess would have talked about earlier about lining up your material and making sure that it's nice and straight, being aware that you can only cut between the margins on the wheels, that's super important for this being successful. Interesting. I'm also just going to quickly pause this, which you might not have seen before. With the knife here, it's just missing a piece, right? What's going on there? It's definitely not necessary to have the full blade exposed like that, and in fact it might fall out. So you just want it so that you can see the blade sticking out the end of this little housing. Quite sharp. Cool. And then we can go continue somehow by hitting pause again. Nice. And surprisingly, this hasn't immediately snagged or broken or anything like that. We are going very slowly, so this is super conservative. I'd always recommend for your first experience, maybe don't do a thing that's half medial. But, because we're all here together supporting each other, we're let's risk it. We can work it out together. You can see there's a little bit of puckering and whatnot as it's changing direction, so perhaps in the future we'd want to try and keep our material in a little bit of tension. And one way that we can do that is by back the material. You might have seen, we had a presentation, something like a review on Monday. Clarissa did the chest set pieces, and she sewed the material onto the back of the frame, which really used to keep it. This machine, unlike every other process we've looked at, doesn't give you an estimate of how long it's going to take. It's just going to be done next time.
Do you think it's cutting through?
I think it's definitely not cutting through. It might be cutting through the first layer, and then you could peel off and have the back. If you're trying to cut through the entire material, it'll be a little bit more challenging because the knife, once you get into that fight, the warp and the weft of it, the craft knife blade will probably have a hard time getting through those fibers.
So is it a craft knife? Just
basically, yeah. I mean, it's not literally a craft knife, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's just a blade. It sits inside a little ball bearing. It's basically the direction it's trying to cut.
Yeah.
Have a little party. Yeah, totally.
So can we see what happens if we use more force?
Yeah, totally. So we could pause and stop this and up the force. So you just do pause, and then you hit whatever it says. Enter to stop. Very good. And then in your settings there, your force is currently set to 45, so make that a larger number.
60 maybe? 70. And then send.
And then send. Yeah, totally. So literally it's just you unscrew this, lift that guy out, plonk it over here, grab the other thing. So the problem is that the inside of the pen is the diameter is too small, so the little ring bit just makes it the right size to fit.
Could you put just a stabilizer?
Oh, what? Oh yeah, sure, yeah. You can put whatever you feel like in there, pretty much. The main consideration, I guess, is it doesn't want to be gushing fluids everywhere that are going to seep inside the bubble. That's probably the limitation. Don't have a fountain pen or whatever. This is pouring ink everywhere.
Or we can try pause it again and use one of the markers.
Yeah.
See how it draws.
And I think that's probably what we're always going to find from this experiment is that without a backing material, the more force we get to drag, we're getting more likely it is to fail.
Okay, so pause, enter, and then we change.
So we just unscrew this guy, lifty loosey righty tighty, lift that up, put it in one of these little holes over here. Do you have a colour preference?
No.
Probably not blue on pink. Whatever. Throw one of them in there. Watcha. Tighten that back up. Oh man, if we hadn't cancelled it, we could have just kept on going. That's right, from the start. Cha.
Does it work with the vinyl that you can select where restarts?
Yes,
the origin.
absolutely. So you'll remember that our file here this is like the bottom left, which was over here somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So if we had moved it to a different spot and then hit origin, it would start from there.
Ah.
So you could move it up a little bit and it won't go over the stuff it's already attempted to do.
So when you push like the enter here and reset it, then it'll start right from the beginning and won't continue.
So when we pause it, if we press pause again, we can resume and keep going from where it left off. If you stop it, then you're like deleting that whole file, and so it takes whatever you
Restart
set
then.
in.
Uh-huh.
So if we don't change that origin position, it'll go over itself again. If we do, jog the head around and put the origin in a different point, then it will start from that point.
Okay, so maybe we can move the origin over here.
So your design is 160 wide, and the material is only. She was only 150 wide. Cool. So the design was going to crop off the edge anyway. So we do need. Oh wait, no. Oh, okay, that makes way more sense. The material's 260 wide. So the furthest across we could be would be like over here somewhere.
There.
And then obviously you can be as much front and back as you want.
Okay,
How far from back do you want to be?
that's okay. It's
Like
just so they
from
don't
here?
overlap. Yeah,
Okay. So you want to start from here.
yeah.
Okay, so you just origin that, and you just hold it down until it says origin set. It's not just press the button, you're going to
Okay.
Cool. And so now, where we are here is now the bottom left of this design. So the design will be up over here.
Okay, so now.
So you might want to adjust your speed and force a little bit, because we probably don't need to go that slow now that we're not trying to cut anything.
So maybe 40?
Sure. And this is again, do some quick tests. See how
And
you
the
go.
velocity 10?
Sure. Speedy mode. Yeah. Possibly we want to like a little bit more pressure, or maybe a slightly different type of pen. Maybe the felt is amazing. Still some stuff. There is also a slider here where you can adjust the pen force midway through the cut. Not in any kind of significant amount, but sometimes it's enough to make a little bit of a difference. Just if you do that, make sure to put it back to 0 so the next person isn't like surprised. Unexpected force adjustment.